Mary Maxim Mellow Spun DK versus Premier Anti-Peeling Everyday DK. Let's compare, shall we? All right, first off, by the looks of them, you can see right off that the Premier Anti-Peeling is shinier, and that is due because it is an anti-peeling yarn, as versus Mary Maxim's Mellow Spun is not an anti-peeling yarn. Another thing I noticed right off by looking, and you could probably see if you look a little bit closer, the Mary Maxim over here, the Mellow Spun, it looks like it's spun a little looser versus the Premier. It looks like to be spun a bit tighter. Now they're both classified as a DK, which is a lightweight number 3. So we'll go ahead and put them on our hands. On my thumb there, here is the Mary Maxim, and here is the Premier. So they look pretty good, pretty close to being similar in size. Not much of a difference, I would say. The anti-peeling from Premier has 273 yards and 250 meters. And the Mellow Spun has 260 meters and 284 yards. Now this is a 100% regular acrylic yarn, and this is a 100% anti-peeling acrylic yarn. And they both do recommend a 4mm hook, which is what I use to do a swatch with. And they both say that you can machine wash on warm and tumble dry on normal. And the same thing goes for the Mary Maxim Mellow Spun. The colors are quite similar. I do think that it's a bit, I guess the colors don't really matter, but the color on this one's cherry, and the color on this one is garnet. Very pretty. So let me show you the samples that I crocheted up, and then we're going to put them in the washer and dryer and see what they look like. All right. So here is the Premier, not the Premier, I'm sorry, the Mellow Spun DK, crocheted with their recommended hook size of a 4mm. And you could see up close that the yarn, as I mentioned before, does not appear to be spun quite as tightly as the Premier. And when you look at the Premier, you'll be able to notice that as right off, that it is spun a little tighter, and therefore the fabric itself turned out just to be a teeny-tad smaller. Now these have the exact same amount of stitches in them. Everything was done the same on them, but when you line them up, you could tell that even though they are both DK weights, that the Mary Maxim is bigger. See that? On the ends, it's bigger. And then as well as the top, it has a bigger row at the top. Remember, they were done with the same exact stitches using the same exact hook. The anti-peeling they are both very soft yarns. I like both of these yarns, but the anti-peeling is softer and it feels a little bit more durable than the Mellow Spun. Although it is very soft as well, it feels a little bit, I don't know, how can I explain it? Not quite as durable as the Premier. But don't get me wrong, I like both of these yarns, and I do use both of them. But why don't we go ahead and do the wash and dry test? Now, the Premier yarn, that is quite a bit of difference on that size, isn't it? Especially the lengthwise. Anyways, the Premier anti-peeling is not supposed to peel. Now, when I say peel, in case you don't know, it starts to get little fuzzies on it, you know, after it's been washed and dried, that the anti-pilling is not supposed to do that. Now the Mellow Spun is not an anti-pilling, so we're going to throw it in the washer along with this one, and we're going to see if it peels up on its first try or not, and we're going to see how well the anti-pilling does for the Premier. The baubles show up nicely in both of them, I have to say. So why don't we go ahead and do the true test, the washer and dry test, right? That's what we all want to know. Premier's motto on their anti-pilling yarn is, like new, wash after wash. Let's see if it is. So I'm going to set them to the side, and I'm going to go throw these in the washer and dryer. I'll be back in a flash. All right, let's take a quick little look after the wash and dry part of this. So actually, I'm actually quite surprised about these results. So on top here we have the Mary Maxim Mellow Spun DK, and on the bottom here we have the Premier DK Anti-Peeling. Now it does appear that the Premier shrunk a little bit more than what it already was, a little smaller to begin with, but it appears to have become quite misshapen, more so than the Mary Maxim. As far as, let's look at it up close. So this is the Premier. Remember, I did wash and dry as per instructions. So this is the Premier. You can see it. Okay, so it is the anti-peeling, and you can see that it is starting to fuzz up a bit after one wash and one dry. It feels softer than when it went in, but it was still soft when it went in, so that's nice. Other than that, it's fuzzing up a bit, which kind of surprised me just a little bit. And the fact that it really did get quite a bit smaller was odd and misshapen. All right, and here is the Mellow Spun DK, which appeared to keep its size in shape the whole way. And you know what? It's not fuzzing up any more than what the Premier Anti-Pilling did. It held up quite nicely after the wash and dry, and it came out softer than it went in, but it was soft when it went in as well. Wow! I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, as I mentioned before, I like both of these yarns quite a bit. And looking at them up close, I can see them really well up close. The amount of fuzz on each of them after one wash and one dry is pretty much the same. I would expect a lot less from the anti-pilling yarn than I would just the regular acrylic like that. Wow. So, you know, as far as the wash and dry test, I'm giving this one to Mary Maxim Mellow Spun. It didn't shrink up anymore. It held its shape, and it didn't fuzz up any more than an anti-peeling yarn for being a regular acrylic. You know, it still looks the same as the anti-peeling. And the Premier looks like it shrunk, and it's a little misshapen, and it fuzzed up a bit. Not bad, but it still did. I guess the more you look, the more you see. Premier. Now, at the beginning, though, when I was crocheting with it, I liked crocheting with them both, but I probably would have gave that to the Premier Anti-Peeling, as it was. It looked nicer once it was finished. As you know, my swatch was finished, it looked more compact, and the yarn strands were wound a little tighter. You know, it had a nice sheen, and it was a little bit softer. But still no complaints from me from the Mellow Spun from Mary Maxim, because I have no problem with this yarn at all. Other than I said it was spun just a bit looser, but I had no problem crocheting with it. It didn't split on me or anything. Wow. That's really a shock to me. So you take that as you will, all right? So I showed you what they look like before and what they look like after. I'll insert a picture at the end. Yeah, I'm going to say before the wash and dry, I'll give it to Premier Anti-Peeling. After the wash and dry, Mellow Spun took it. That's just only my opinion. Remember, opinions differ. I love Premier yarns and I love Mary Maxim's yarns. Of course, there's some of Premier I don't like, and there's some of Mary Maxim's I don't like, but I like both of these yarns. So I can't really, you know, I'm just giving you my honest opinions. I think one performed better before the wash and one performed better after the wash. Let me know your thoughts in the description, all right? Or in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts about it. Bye, guys.